Welcome to In the Green Room. I'm Kinga.
And I'm Chet.
I'm Richard.
I'm Girish.
I'm Jury.
I'm Prerna.
And we are here talking about 40 Steps to Self-Discovery, Meditation, and Awakening. It's Girish, your book.
Yes.
And I don't know, how many books have you written?
9 books.
9 books, that's a lot. Wow. And tell us how you work together and kind of give us a recap on all that.
We started a virtual meditation together in, what's it been, 4 years, so 2020. And we meet 3 days a week, 8 to 9, on Monday, Thursday, and Saturday. And that's people participate from all around the world. And then from there we take those sessions and we take them into a workshop form in the Valley, modern yoga, meta yoga, and then we do community events.
And what is this meditation all about? Like, how is it healing for our bodies and our mind and souls?
Yeah. Normally in the West, we normally say the meditation heals the body and the mind. But meditation aims at awakening to your true nature. So we have been dictated and guided and influenced by our false I. But what is the false I? That I thought combined with past impressions, our body, mind, breath, and intellect. So it creates a false I. So as long as we live in false I, it causes the endless suffering. Whether it is a relationship, whether at the personal level or a professional level.
So what do you mean by false I? What do we mean by false I?
Yes.
What does that mean? What does false I mean?
False I, that's a very
That's an interesting phrase.
interesting
False
phrase.
I like that.
And very good question. When you asked the question, it came from your mind.
Mm-hmm.
It came from your intellect as an I thought. It is an I thought. So when I say it is an I thought, is any thought is you? No.
Yes, it is.
You are not your thought. So it's my car is not me.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Your iPhone is not you.
No.
Huh?
No.
So it means when you use the word me and mine, like my body is also not you.
Right.
Like my phone is
Okay.
not you, so my body is not you. Your body is not you. Your mind is not you.
No, my mind is mine.
Okay.
I don't
So
understand.
when I say that this is my phone, so my phone is always separate. It cannot be me. When I say my, it means I possess.
Right.
I possess my phone, I possess the body, I possess the breath, I possess the mind. So my mind is not me, even though I'm related to the mind. Then who am I? I am the real self. What is that real self? I'm summarizing it. It's a long journey. So what is the real self? Real self is a pure consciousness. So what are the 3 aspects of the pure consciousness? 3 aspects of the pure consciousness. It is existence, it is consciousness, it is bliss. Now return back. What is the goal of meditation? To realize that I am the real self.
I would think the meditation is for relaxing and taking away any stress or anxiety.
Yeah.
Trying to be more positive, probably. Trying to block out anything that's negative.
Yeah, and the real self is already that. So what we do with the meditation and the practice and the working on our mind. So if you think of your mind as your instrument,
Mm-hmm.
your body as your instrument, your mind changes, your body changes, but your essence doesn't change. So as you work on your thoughts and you incorporate your experiences and your feelings, you still go back to what doesn't change, which is your essence. So you're not attached to this body because it's gonna leave. It's gonna fail. Right? So we take care of it. We take care of it, but we're not attached to it. And then the mind needs work because it's like a kite. It'll take us in all different directions if we let it. So we don't get attached to all those thoughts that run through the mind. We have to work on it.
So it helps you focus. So it gets you to focus.
You see
On
that
what's not changing.
there is another way to understand the real self is permanent entity, unchanging. It never changes at all. And what is false is constantly changing. But the false always depends on the permanent. Can I give you an example? The wave in the water. Is wave water? Yes, it is water. But still the water appears as a wave. Water appears as a wave. But can you show me, does the wave exist in the water? Answer is no. Similarly, the false I does not exist at all. That is why we use the word, Rich, false I.
Yeah. It's
Chad, do you
interesting.
understand it?
It's interesting because
Well, I have a question. Do you think that parts of somebody's character and their values, did those contribute to part of being their self, their real self?
Beautiful question. With the
Because-
moment you say the personality, persona,
Well,
Persona is
character, I would
mask.
say. Character is like you're trying to do good into the world. So that's not about you. It's about how you try to react to the world.
your moral compass.
Yeah.
so let us go step by step. When you say personality, persona, behavior and attitude, that is what the personality is. And your behavior and attitude comes from your character, the value system that you have. And the value system is expressed through the mind. So it is the real self which is behind that personality, which is manifesting.
But don't they basically work together though?
You can say work together. Obviously, you can say the wave doesn't work with the water. That relationship is there. But it is better. You have asked a beautiful question, so we have to understand the three aspects. What is real, unreal, and false?
Because the thing that sprung this question is when you said that the real self never changes. But how does that apply to like somebody who makes a complete turnaround in who they are as a person on every level? Like, there's that person that got out of jail, but then, found God and, found meditation and now is a completely different person through their behaviors and their character. So how do you claim that that person's still the same thing?
First thing, that is all about the 40 steps. So we have not followed even the first 10 steps. So we are asking the question at the 11th level, but still I will try to answer it. So first thing, understand there are three aspects. In modern science, we say there is a real, there is a unreal. What it means, there is a truth that always exists, and there is the untruth. Have you seen the elephant in the sky? No, it is untruth. One example. It is untruth means it is non-existent. And what is always existing, that is the truth. So now what to say about this body? Before 66 years, this body did not exist. I just, came out. And I'm not a woman, so I can say that I'm 66 years old. So you see, before 66 years, this body did not exist. Now it is existing, and after a few more years, it will cease to exist. So this is the third category. It appears to exist, but it does not exist. Like the mirage water, it appears to exist, but it does not exist. That is the third category, which is known as false. So I thought, character and the values, my persona appears to exist, but it does not. Behind that there is a truth, there is a real self. That is not changing. The water does not change. You have hurricane, you have strong waves, you have small waves, but the water, the very essence of the water does not change. So very essence of the chat, rich.
But that's confusing to me, because in my opinion,
First I told you, you have not covered the first 10 steps.
but
Which are what?
only
first
one
10
aspect
steps.
confuses me,
Yeah.
and that is that I would think that your actions and what you do help define you. I agree you're temporary, but that still means you exist. And so wouldn't your actions literally define you while you exist here? How do they not?
That is where the problem of understanding from the start. First thing that you should understand that there is a real, there is unreal, that does not exist at all. It's a non-existence, because I cannot say it. Untruth. Untruth is non-existence. Now the second level. What is the second level? Now we have to define what is real and what is false. So then you get some understanding of the actions that we do. I performed this action just now, I spoke. Now I finished speaking. Before speaking, no existence. During I speech, it existing. Once I finish speaking, non-existence.
Okay, like when you use the analogy of your body, and you said before 66 years didn't exist, and that does.
Yeah.
But then, since you're going to die, it makes you not real. No, for those 66 years, everything you've done and have helped define you and have been real. So how does that make sense?
That is, you're asking questions again. That goes to the 25th step of this book. But I will just answer. I will answer.
We only have an hour. We're not going to get through every step sequentially. There's going to be questions that are going to skip around.
A student of the 5th grade is asking the question of how to make an atom bomb. It is the same question you're asking. So I wanted to complete it. Again, I'm starting. There is a real. Unreal don't exist. Third is false. That is, appears to exist, but it does not exist. How can you explain when you are driving your car and you see the highways running behind you? We see the scenes and the highways running behind you. It appears. I have a conscious experience. Yes, highway is running behind. Is it real? No, it is not real.
It's optical illusion.
It's optical illusion. So we have to process the principles of Eastern wisdom to reach to a point that this body is also an optical illusion. The science aims at objective reality. It sees the optical illusion in the material world. We find out, is there any optical illusion? At the physical level, at the level of our action, at the level of our speech, at the level of our I thought. So once we recognize that this is also an optical illusion, I'm using your term, then what happens? I realize that real self. And I also understand that all my thought, speech, and action depends on that real self. Like the wave depends on the water. Wave is temporary. Wave, can you show me the waves inside the water? No.
But it still defines the water. Like you would never think of the ocean without waves. So what the water does matter.
Wait. What did you say? You cannot define the water without waves?
You would never think of an ocean without waves. So
That's true.
what the water does
Are you
does
sure?
help to define it.
Are you sure what you are saying?
Yeah.
Again, just explain it. You cannot
Show me an ocean without waves, and
You cannot
you'll be
define
right.
the ocean without waves, or you cannot define the wave without an ocean.
but that's what I'm saying. It goes back and forth.
No. Simple example, very simple example. You have to understand that the wave is present because of the water. But the water does not depend on the wave. You don't have the wave, water is still there. But without water, you cannot have the wave. Without an ocean, you cannot have the wave.
So without the consciousness,
Without that real self, you
Right.
cannot have this
Body.
wave of body,
Mind.
mind, intellect, ego, thought. So that's why I was stressing that you have to redefine it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You have to redefine it, be very clear. The wave, because of the sunlight in the sand, that is why we have a mirage effect. That is why I see the water. But you cannot see the water without the sun and the sand. You cannot see the highways running behind you while you are driving without the highway. So the ocean can exist with or without wave. The water can exist with or without wave. The real self can exist. I'm concluding. And then you have a lot of questions. So first I said ocean can exist with or without wave. Right? I'm concluding now.
Yes.
So you have a lot of questions. The real self can exist with or without the body. So you don't die because you are the real self.
So it's kind of synonymous with your soul. That's like what I think of as soul.
We have to define the soul. That is the beauty of Eastern wisdom. Eastern wisdom says once they use any single word, they define it. And when you define it, you prove it. What does it mean by proving? That you realize it, you experience it. So we don't use, that is why I'm not using the word soul, which is a very common word.
Well, it just feels like they have the same meaning or similar.
So what is the word you use instead of soul?
No,
Real self. They
yes,
Self-discovery?
because your soul is the part of your spirit that continues on
In
after
the-
your body dies.
in the beginning, let us use it. And once we recognize it, we experience it, we know what is the difference.
Okay.
Yeah. In the beginning, it is like a geometrical theorem I used to talk in our sessions. What happens in geometrical theorem or in any discovery of the science? Where they start? They start with a hypothesis. They start with some hypothesis. And in that hypothesis, they say this is true. I have to prove by the process. I have to prove by the process, like I have been using the word sum of angles of a triangle is 180 degree. Yeah, clear?
Mhm.
So now there is a 5th grader or the 6th grader. You give this problem that prove the sum of angles of a triangle is 180 degree. So if the student writes an answer, it is evident, they get 0 mark. But if they process it, they prove it. So that is the nature of the Eastern wisdom. When I say we are the real self, there is a process. There is a method. There is a method, there is a process. It is purely scientific, rational. You need not to have a belief, cult, dogma, religion. No way. You prove it rationally. So the way you prove where is your house is located, you know how to reach there, which street, which highway. The same way your mind reaches to the real self, it experiences. And that is what is known as awakening. That is what is known as nirvana.
And then Chet, it inspires your attitude, your mind, your behavior, and yes, then we do change.
I never
But
thought
the essence isn't changing.
And then we change for the better.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Well,
then we
so
decrease
what-
suffering.
better.
So you
Yeah.
think
That's
that
an
somebody?
illusion, too.
Okay, another kind of like devil's advocate question.
Devils.
So you think somebody?
Is the devil.
So you think somebody who is, let's use somebody who is very evil at their core. You think they're the same at their core essence as somebody who's very good in their actions in life? That's a very confusing premise. Like somebody like Jeffrey Dahmer who ate 30 people. You think he's the same at his core essence as somebody who spent their whole life loving and spreading love and only doing good in this world? Because that's a very confusing premise.
Yes, because that is where the Eastern wisdom and its philosophy, its concept, and its applied practices comes into picture. I told you that it is 10,000 years old tradition. So when you talk of good and bad, or merit or demerit, merits and demerits are expressed through your thought, speech, and action. And through the behavior, we record that this guy is good and this guy is bad. Now understand, whatever is expressed by the human race through the thought, speech, and action, it has to come through the intellect and the mind. And the mind is constantly changing. So the mind contains the evil tendencies or the good tendencies, but the real self not. Because if the real self contains those tendencies, it means it is changing. But if it is changing, then it is not a real
So
self.
then this style of wisdom is not willing to define any behaviors as evil or wrong? That's so confusing.
That is your definition.
Well, no, you just said that anything that's deemed evil or good was coming from the mind and it's not coming from the real
mind. So instead of we say evil, we say these are the impurities of the mind. Because I have yet to recognize my inner inherent potential of the nature of the real self. The moment I recognize that very nature of the real self, the evil tendencies goes away.
But
There is a behavior change, there is an attitude change.
I'm talking about comparing two different people and their real essences. One person who did evil things in their existence, one person who didn't. Are you saying that they both have the same real essence? That's what the question is.
No. The essence is, I may have evil tendencies inside me. I hide it and I show my good behavior. And somebody does not have those evil tendencies, but still they show a very good behavior, thought, speech, and action.
So if we're comparing those two people, are they the same real essence? Even though one has done evil and one has not?
Real essence transcends these mental, intellectual, behavioral, speech, and action part. That is what the false I is. The real self has nothing to do with it. The water has nothing to do with it. Whether you have a small wave, whether you have a big wave, whether you have a hurricane that we have already seen in Florida, which destroyed a lot of people, but the very essence of the water did not change. What changed? Because of the wind speed, the water speed also goes up, but the essence of the water still did not change, even if it has destroyed thousands of homes. Are you getting it?
Yeah.
The essence of the water, the H2O remained H2O. H2O did not become H3O. That is what you are asking. Are you getting it?
Well,
Yes.
it's tough to wrap your head around that, because you're saying that the essence is the same, and someone
Essence
that
is the same.
is evil does evil things, and one that does all altruistic things. And he is saying, yes, it's the same essence.
Well, that's
Essence.
just impossible for me to believe that
That's
somebody
not
like
true.
Jeffrey Dahmer, who literally ate people, is this same type of soul as somebody like my great grandma who literally spent her whole life doing good things and spreading love. And trying to say that, oh, that's just a temporary definition of what's evil. No, I think anything that's removing people from this earth and removing souls is evil. You can define that. It's not just a projection of the mind.
Simple. I answered in a different
The
way.
behavior is evil.
That there is a real self. I have to prove it by process and a method. It is not a question of belief. It's a question of realization. Simply, at present, we are talking in terms of thought processes and philosophy. I may be overwhelmed and guided by a particular philosophy of merit and demerit, evil. But once I start the journey of this self-discovery, I recognize the very essence of the real self does not change. And the very essence of the real self is peace, happiness, love, truth.
So you think those were Jeffrey Dahmer's real essence?
And wisdom. That is the real essence.
But how does everybody have that as their real essence if some people do horrible things?
Very good. That is the journey of the ignorance. That is the journey of what we say. We use the word that you live in ignorance. Ignorance causes the impurities. Impurities leads to delusion. And delusion ultimately leads to foolishness. Out of the foolishness, we have evil tendencies by which we work. Take a simple example. Simple. I always give an example that I eat pasta. Pasta gives me pleasure. Right?
Yeah.
What do you eat? What gives you pleasure?
I love strawberries.
Strawberry.
Very healthy, delicious.
So strawberry gives you pleasure.
Uh-huh.
Clear? Now tell me, if the pleasure is present in the strawberry, that is why you get the pleasure?
No, I take pleasure in the moment, and if that moment just happens to include a strawberry, then I'll be happy about that.
Very good. So tell me whether the pleasure is present in the strawberry or in your mind.
My mind.
Very good. Now tell me, if the pleasure is present in your mind, then he would be the happiest guy. He has no problem at all. If the pleasure is the property of the mind, then you are always in pleasure. But that is not so. So it means that pleasure is present somewhere deeper than the mind. Somewhere deeper than the mind. And basically this pleasure in the mind is the manifestation of the essence. It is not present in the strawberry. It is not present in the mind. Because why it is not present in the someday I feel stressed, mental stress. Someday my mind becomes crazy. It is not always in pleasure. So if it is always in pleasure, it means the mind, essence of the mind is the pleasure, but it is not so. But I experience the pleasure. So from where the pleasure comes, it means there is something more than the mind. There is something more than the evil. There is something more than the merit. There is something more than the demerit. That remains constant. What is that constant? So one definition of the real self is that it is of the nature of permanent happiness. Second part of the answer. Now you hide that permanent happiness through the mind. How you hide? Because you feel the pleasure by eating strawberry. So your mind is already focused on getting the pleasure from the strawberry. Why the mind will search the essence inside? And that is what the ignorance is. And that causes the suffering. I love you, honey. Then I become the soulmate. After 6 months, sourmate. Is single or married?
Recently single.
Oh, recent.
You're single for a while.
Oh, okay.
I love it. Recently single, so you have already proved it.
So
So you see the very the way our mind is functioning, we are searching peace, happiness in the world outside, in the objective reality. But we never question whether peace and happiness are the properties of any person in the world, of any event, of your mic, of your glasses or goggles. No. Peace and happiness cannot be the property of this mic because it is inert.
But you could find happiness that you're using one, because there's some people out there that'll never get to use one like that. So it's all about your perspective.
And yes, in the beginning, that is where the problem of Western science and modern psychology comes, because we think that it is my perspective. I'm getting happy with you, and I'm attracted towards you, so you make me happy. I make you happy. After a few months, that turns out to be unhappiness. So I heard I read somewhere 20 years ago, when an American married 10 times. At the 11th time, he went to a psychiatrist, said, "What's the problem with these women?"
I'm surprised he went to a psychiatrist. Because that.
After 10 incidents, the psychiatrist said,
That's right.
"Your problem is with you."
Yes.
I always give an
Yes.
example. I don't want to refer it,
Yes.
but still, it's going to be viewed by a lot of people. How I respect Bill Gates, his genius, his software development, his Microsoft. She's laughing. In an interview, that genius said that I lived loveless life, means with Melinda, for 27 years.
He said that?
How dare you waited for 27 years? Problem is with your mind.
Because all he cares about is power and growing his wealth.
Then you can
We
explain.
don't know that.
Is
We
it
don't
very-
know that.
I heard that interview and I said, "Oh, really?"
He said that in the interview? Did you guys?
Yes.
Somebody's interview.
Yeah,
Okay.
Bill Gates interview.
Yes.
And he said that he lived loveless?
Loveless life for 27
God.
years.
Wow. Wow. That's incredible.
Why the hell you live 27 years?
So were they married 28 years?
Obviously. So you see, it is not a perspective that we create.
How long have you been married, Girish?
36.
36. 36.
Are you happily married?
Oh,
I'm not
yes.
married.
I'm happy.
Only
Speaking
married
of
only
I'm
once.
happy.
Married only once.
I'm
Not
very
10 times.
happy with
Good
you.
job. Good job.
I
You're
am-
happy?
Yes. I
First
have
wife.
no problem.
I 100%
I'm
agree
happy.
that.
This is my first
happy-
married, last
Yeah.
married. Already 36
What did you
years.
say?
What is
Oh,
the
I was
secret?
just
What
gonna
is the
say
secret?
that. I was gonna say I totally agree that happiness has to come from within, but at the same time, I feel like you can be truly happy and get happier if you take the joy in those little moments. But it's about the moment. It's not about the thing. It's about who you're with, or just that you have that moment at all, even if you're by yourself. So,
I'm revising your statement a bit.
because I'm obsessed with experiences. Like experiences are one of my, like, the things I would identify with as like what makes my personality. Like I love whether it's going on a good hike or looking at the beauty of the world or exercising.
I see the mirage water. It is my experience. So I'm bent upon getting those experiences. I see the highways running behind me. It makes me happy. This is my experience. But these experiences comes from the mind. Mind is constantly changing.
But can't the real self also be enjoying the experiences?
Yes, that is, I'm bringing to you that first job of every human race is to find that very essence and the real self. Now that real self is of the nature of happiness. So wherever you express your thought, speech and action, you are living in a moment. You are expressing that happiness in that activity. In either you are living, you are working somewhere, you are in a profession, you are living your personal life, you express that happiness. which is coming from the real self. But there is another happiness also comes. There is a big barrier. That is false I, that ego. So ego gives you the perspective. I love you, honey. But question is, I love you, honey. It is the ego who says, for what sake? If I like you, then only I love you. If I dislike you, I cannot love you. So that love coming from the ego is conditional. And the love that comes from the essence, the real self, is unconditional.
It's unconditional. I was so happy you said that.
It is unconditional.
One of the things that Girish will say to your living in the moment and enjoying moments, he will say to test yourself, to prove it. Can you accept a profit and loss with the same enthusiasm?
Oh yeah,
Can you
if something goes not
accept
according to plan, 100%.
Yeah, can you receive an insult the same as a compliment?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a way to help you start to prove it to yourself that you're living that way, that you're accepting it really gracefully
confused.
and learning like a silver lining, that you don't get upset when somebody insults you, and maybe you even think about it and learn from it, grow from it. An opportunity is every situation an opportunity to grow.
Yeah, like if I go to a restaurant that I really wanted to go to and the person hosting isn't helping me or something, I won't take it out on them. I'll just be like, they're probably having a bad day, and I'll go to the next restaurant. I'm not the type that would freak out and be like, this has to go the way I expected it to. That's
now what Jerry is saying, that one is the intellectual understanding, and the second is your realization. It is an experiential understanding. So how I can rephrase it? That profit does not remain the idea of a profit in the mind. That is the meaning of living in a moment. That loss does not remain the loss in your mental perception. At that moment, when you live in that moment, profit and the loss does not mean anything to the mind. You have a deeper and a higher perspective. You have a deeper and a higher perception. That is, you might have heard third eye.
Thank you. No, exactly.
That is what you have heard is the third eye.
I.
I, E-Y-E, yes. Third eye.
Yes,
I'm gonna
it's
get water.
interesting.
I'll be right back. Waters.
When you're talking about the false I,
Yeah.
I see it two ways. One is the false I, and the other is the false I.
No, it is not the false.
The false I and
You
the
see,
false I.
it is such a rich philosophy, and it is the applied journey in your life.
Well, I think there's just some words that I basically need clarification on, coming from a more Western philosophical background, but a lot of the core beliefs are still the same.
Yes and no both.
At least from mine, not like from general Western philosophy.
You study the Eastern philosophy, you apply it, you live into it, and you are already studied the Western, then you will understand the difference between the two. So, to summarize in a different way, the Western philosophy aims at objective reality. What is objective reality? Is the material world. When I say I see you, what exactly I am seeing you? I am seeing you I am seeing you a pattern created by carbohydrate, protein, fat,
Atoms.
the atoms. This is what the matter is. And in this shape, this matter is known as this matter is known as Rich, this matter is known as Kinga. So what is the
But
essence?
some of us, like my belief is that is just a vessel for his soul, which is what Richard truly is.
Don't believe it, prove it. That is what I started with the journey. That is the beauty of
Because
the
when he
Eastern
stops
wisdom.
breathing, he's not going to be Richard anymore. That proves it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But it has to do with the matter. It has not to do with the real essence. That is what I explained to you, that the water does not change its essence whether you have a storm, whether that water body destroys the houses that happen in Florida. The very essence of the water does not change.
I was
So
just trying to
this-
explain that I think a lot of people from Western culture think of the soul as the real self, and they're just slightly, basically incorrect about it.
Little, yeah, it's a little
It's
different.
kind of a misconception,
It's a misconception.
but it's
So
kind of almost serves similar like definition in
Yeah,
some
yeah.
ways.
Well,
In-
I believe that your soul still goes on.
you
I
see,
believe my grandma's right in this room. I feel my grandma.
you see, I give you a
And
sense.
they believe that the real essence never dies, so that's the same. That's one of the aspects that's the same from
Oh,
both
okay.
cultures.
Oh, okay.
So not only the real essence never dies, but that very real essence is one and only one. In you, in him, in me, in
It's
everyone.
all the same.
And my
All-
dad's here
It's
too.
all one.
It is all one. We are not talking, in that reference, we are not talking of the soul. We are talking of one unitary transcendental consciousness, or you can say simply existence, which is of the nature of permanent peace, happiness, love, truth, and wisdom. That very essence in so-called every being is the same.
So hold on. Is the nirvana, is the awakening when you can you focus your mind to not have any negative? Is that kind of the...
There is another beautiful way to say, when you start searching that very essence,
Mm-hmm.
you withdraw the mind inside.
Mm-hmm.
You withdraw the mind inside, so that very negative essence present in the mind simply melts away. It dissolves.
Yeah.
It simply dissolves. You don't get rid of it. So that very negative essence is because of the delusion, because of the ignorance. In fact, it is not there.
Right. Right. You don't let it bother you.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just it doesn't even exist.
It doesn't even exist.
Exactly. Because
So yes,
Okay.
but it appears to exist. That is where I started my discussion. It is false.
I have something to say.
You are getting into it. Yes, you are getting into
I'd
it.
like
See?
to make an observation, please.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
We talk about modern science. Well, it's interesting that modern science is finally catching up with ancient Eastern
Yes.
wisdom in the form of quantum,
Yeah.
a quantum
Yes.
reality, that everything is energy. If everything is energy, then all is one. There is no difference.
Beautiful,
Yes?
beautiful.
So this is what they've been talking about in
With-
Eastern wisdom for 10,000 years.
With one difference.
Okay.
Energy is constantly changing. Where there is energy, which is constantly changing, it is the finest manifestation of matter, as the Einstein theory of relativity proved.
Einstein.
But Einstein, yes, sorry. Oh, I'm an Indian, so my Hindi. Now, we have to understand it clearly that what governs this energy in me, in you, in the universe, so there must be some ultimate cause. And that ultimate cause is the real self, is the essence, is the pure consciousness.
Yeah.
But why the modern science is talking about this energy in terms of quantum? Because they have started their journey of research from the matter.
Yeah.
So the matter is reduced to the
reductionist.
energy.
Yes.
There are, he knows it, Chet knows, and we all knows, we have 3 and 4 hypotheses, or you can say we have 3 and 4 models in science by which they define consciousness. They say, oh, it is the frontal lobe where the consciousness is located. That does not make any sense. Or they sometimes they say the mind and the brain are one and the same thing. What we start our journey from the consciousness, from the subjective reality, and then we come down. How the consciousness manifests as I thought, as intellect, as mind, then as matter, and then as this body and the sense organs. So it, by even listening to it, it makes a sense to you that I see you. Really? How do I see you? I see you through my eyes. Okay. Minus consciousness, can the eyes see? So the consciousness is the ultimate entity. Oh, so you raised a question and I was answering. Oh, how I was answering? Through the mind. Minus consciousness? Can the mind listen? Can the mind answer?
No.
So what is the essence? Consciousness. What is that consciousness? That is the real self. So Eastern wisdom is the discovery of that real self.
So if you let your mind
but that's another way that the Western, like, basically belief about the soul is similar to the Eastern belief about the real self, because the Western cultures don't believe that the soul's tied to the mind in any way or the body in any way, just as the real self is not attached to the mind in any way.
You teach the Western culture. Do you agree with what Chet just said?
Well, different people have different
50.
beliefs. I was
Jari.
generalizing.
Am I pronouncing it right? Jari?
Not believe.
Soul spirit, I feel like soul spirit in the Western, we do interchange it with consciousness. Should we? But can we?
Yeah.
Prove it. Let's prove it. So it's okay. I feel like it's okay if you're saying soul is consciousness, consciousness is soul. Okay.
Yeah, we accept it. Let us have a hypothesis and prove it.
Consciousness is spirit. Okay.
Don't believe it.
But then they contain
I'm
the
just
same
basically I'm not trying to argue that point. I'm saying that some people just think of them like as
thing. I
synonyms,
agree
essentially.
with you. I think so.
Yeah.
So they are.
So, one question I had too about how we all basically come from the same essence. Do you think that is basically like another higher dimension? Because we were talking about how quantum physics is showing that everything is energy. The same math has proved that there's higher dimensions. So, is there a chance that this,
Yes.
It's still all energy.
So
There are
according
multiple universes, multiple dimensions.
on higher
everything-
dimensions, there's no elapse of time.
That's right. If
So-
there's no energy, there's no elapse of time either.
So, this higher dimensional being could have sent our souls here to experience time, because there's no time on the higher dimension.
problem with us, our human mind, is that we try to conceive as if the higher being is like us at a higher level.
That's right. It's out there somewhere.
It is out there something with some objectivity like mind. It has an intellect.
It's on a
has
higher dimension. It
mind.
literally couldn't even exist there.
So there is a higher consciousness that exists without the mind, intellect, ego, and the matter. It transcends that with very energy in the matter.
Well, mathematically, it transcends this dimension.
That is at a lower level in science, we can say, because we have started the journey from the matter. So that is why mathematically we prove it. But who is the knower of the mathematics? Consciousness. So it is that real essence, it is the real self which I address as I. Now, there is a famous statement from the French philosopher I think, therefore I am,
Yes.
or I am, therefore I think. Which one is true?
Yes, so the consciousness is using the mind.
Consciousness is using the mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you gave me a very beautiful phrase. Very beautiful phrase. At present, the mind and the brain is subjecting or dominating or dictating that real essence indirectly. That is why we have evils, we have negativity, we have good and the bad. So what is the journey of the Eastern wisdom? You rise in consciousness, reach to the ultimate essence. When the same real essence starts using the mind, intellect, your behavior, thought, speech, and action, it is ruled by the consciousness, or your evil tendencies dissolves. It melts away. Even you are the most evil person, that will not remain present in you. You are transformed. We say normally you undergo a conscious evolution in the transformation, even in the presence of that light. Now see, the lamp is there. I see the lamp, I don't see the electricity. That is the problem with the real self. You cannot see the real self through the sense organs in the mind. Same way, you cannot see what is unreal because it does not exist. So there has to be some process. And that process is explained clearly by more than 3,000 masters for over a period of 10,000 years. These principles remain the same.
That explanation clarified it so much for me. Basically, if the consciousness is basically acting with the real self, using the mind, or is the mind really in control with your fears and paranoias and impulses and all that? So yeah, that makes it really clear to me.
You are getting an essence of it. Now, if the mind is using the consciousness, you have not only the evil tendencies, you have a negative behavior, or so-called the positive behavior, or a hypocrisy. But when the consciousness is using the mind and intellect and the sense organs, there is no chance of any negativity. No chance at all.
So, okay, so say that again. So there's no chance of any negativity.
Any negativity if the consciousness is using the body, sense organs, mind, intellect, plus your ego as an instrument.
Yay! Mine's working then. Because
Then you are always, you have a pain,
No.
you have a pain in the knee, but still inside you experience that state of happiness. You experience that is independent of the body.
I feel like I'm truly always happy. I mean, most of the time.
Most of the time.
I would say 90%
Very
of the
good.
time.
90%.
98%
King,
of the time
what
I'm
we're
happy.
talking about is
And I even
I will help you realize the rest 10%.
perfect.
In pure
Because we have only a minute and a half.
Kinga, let me say, in
Yes.
pure consciousness, there is no good and evil. There
There
is no,
I like it.
Right. I
Yes.
understand.
okay?
Yes.
That's
Duality.
illusion.
The duality.
Yes.
There's no duality
You
I understand that.
You
beyond
see,
that.
you see what rich, when you listen to these, first thing I would say with all humility, I don't know anything.
Yes.
Whatever I know,
Exactly.
it is coming from the principles of Eastern wisdom.
Yeah.
So everybody, how do they get your book? 40 Steps to Self-Discovering, Meditation, and Awakening.
It is in Amazon.
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 All
Amazon.
your
You
books,
get on
all
Amazon.
your books are on Amazon?
Yeah.
And,
All
and,
9.
and can you spell your name? Girish.
Girish.
How do we spell that?
Girish.
And your last name is
Last name is Jha.
J
Jha.
H A J. So please get his book. You can get it on Amazon. To be continued. We're doing many series on getting the awakening. Chet, do you feel happy and do you feel the awakening?
It was very enlightening.
Saving the planet one
One
show at a time. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
It was fun, like basically comparing how the different cultures define
Yes.